Alrighty, so I wanted to do a quick video about one of my previous books, Online as It Is in Heaven. I wrote this book, would have been ages ago. We all say that now, considering the last couple of years that we've been through. But I would have published this book just close to a year before the pandemic hit North America. I don't even think anyone was talking about COVID at that time. We certainly weren't talking about online church the way that we do nowadays, and an adoption of online church. Heck, like VR church, meta church, like none of these were in the common parlance as far as like the modern day talking about it, like in churches and stuff like that. But I tried my best at one point to write what I thought was going to be a practical theology to the internet, how Christians can use online services and tools and applications, how people would use social media platforms as Christians, that kind of thing, just as a guide. It's a tiny little book. It's only like 40,000 pages. Like it's very small. I don't know how to really show that kind of scale. Did the artwork myself, did the editing myself, did the formatting myself. And it's a decent book. It's always sold well. But then every idea in this book got tested in the last 2 years. Every single one. And some of it held up great, exactly how I was hoping it would. It was insight that I had about the internet and how that and theology kind of mix. And it was proved right, which is, great when you're an author and you write something that's theory and it comes and turns out to be true. And then there were other stuff that was not right. Stuff that, when I look at it now, I realize that I was writing it from a position of ignorance, and stuff that got tested like in real time during the pandemic, and we all switched to online because it was really one of our only options. So this is me announcing a rewrite. I don't want to do this. I really don't. I have enough stuff that I want to try and write. I had other book projects in mind. I had a bunch of book projects in mind, actually. But the world needs this right now. And so I'm going to be rewriting Online as It Is in Heaven. I'm going to be going through each chapter and then adding sections about how this stuff was tested over the last years, and then what that showed, whether or not this was right and how right it was, with explanations, and what we're currently getting wrong as a church when it comes to doing online ministry, because the crux of this book suggested that Christians don't know how to use online spaces for ministry, and suggests, at least in one spot, which I'm going to read and dissect on my own and throw myself under the bus, that Christians don't know how to do church online. And the reality is, and I've been more convinced of it every day now, that you cannot do church online, that you can do ministry, you can do great things, evangelical things, discipleship things, outreach things, hospitality, caring, generosity, compassionate things online. But church isn't one of them. And this insidious little switch in parlance of thinking and saying that church online is just as valid as church, I think is going to cause more trouble than we're really worth it. And I can't help but wonder if that is what, Satan was up to on his side of the pandemic. Like, I'm not saying that Satan caused the pandemic, that it was just this big demonic plot to, close all the churches. I think churches are stronger than ever coming out of the pandemic for a lot of different reasons. But I think one of the reasons that it happened, or one of the things that he's going to try and do on the backside of the pandemic, is to get the church to focus on online church in a way that's unbiblical, even blasphemous. And it's going to be a hard place to take, but I'm not one to kind of run away from my ideas. I wrote this book. I've done an update on my blog about it, how I've added a description where you can buy it online, saying that this book is not a complete thought set anymore. It's not a complete theology, and there are some things missing from it now that we know what online church looks like in real time. I don't think we really did prior to the church starting. So on top of a bunch of interviews that I'm going to be doing on it, and on top of reading the current chapters so that you have a free access to this. It is for sale still on Amazon, and the link will still be available. So you guys can access this in pieces. I'm going to be reading chapters of this every day, and not every day, probably every week. But I'm going to be releasing the book as it is, and then re-releasing the book after it's been changed, so that I can address the problems that the book has, the problems that I wrote into the book, as a way of fixing this theology. Because I think with correct theology, you can really do wondrous things for the kingdom. You can really bring people to a relationship with Christ. And I know the internet is going to play a great part in the overall picture of what Christianity looks like, but we're jumping the gun. Online church, I don't think can happen. Alongside the fact that online ministry should happen, that it should happen because it's this force multiplier to which the world has never seen. But when it comes to the actual workings of church, the gathered Christians on a weekly basis, doing life together, I don't think church can exist online the way it exists in and has existed for thousands of years. And I think that trying to make it exist online actually puts us in a weak position as Christians. And so I want to try and explore that. I want to apologize for writing a book that I'm not happy with anymore, and I want to fix. And so we're going to do that together. We're going to do it over the next probably 6 to 8 months. And it's going to be tough. I never really wanted to make this video, but I'm not one, like I said, to shy away from my own bad ideas or to not correct them. So this is me, Mike Van Gogh, fixing one of my books, Online as It Is in Heaven. We will talk to you guys soon.